righty. You're back with your boy King Jacob on the one and only Chatterbox. And today we have special guests, none other than LaShawn Jackson, Mama Boss. And this topic is a side chick with wife expectations. Whoa. So,
Whoa.
without further ado, I'm gonna let her introduce herself and tell you what line of profession she's in, and because she has not just one profession, but she have a couple of those professions that she's great at. So, Ms. Jackson, you can go ahead and tell the people who you are and what you do.
Awesome. Well, first of all, I just want to give a big shout out to my guy, King Jacob, to having me on the Chatterbox tonight. I've been down with Jacob for years, since probably like 2015, 2016. You are a solid guy. I appreciate your professionalism in the industry, from podcast to radio to management to PR. Just very flattered to be a part of your network tonight. My name is LaShawn Jackson. I ain't got no problem with my government because my government name is on the checks. Okay. But they call me AKA Mama Boss because I take care of my people. I am CEO of Boss Management. I do have the pleasure of managing none other than Frost the Kid, Honey Banks, Prophet. That girl is that Medusa. Nels out of South Carolina, in your home state. And I'm super excited to work with them. I have a strong team under Boss Management. I work with DJ In Touch, who is our A&R that's out of Tampa, that works with all of the major labels, FM stations, DJ pools, and things that we need to package and place our artists. I also work with D. Reader, who's VP of Boss Management, that is a solid support and investor behind the team. And just to give a little shout out to Exquisite PR, which is Jacob and Miss Nicole, who have chimed in and just taken the bull horns by the horn and have taken getting our artists in the right direction. So I do work in the indie major industry in music. By day, I am a banker, a mortgage banker. I do work with financial pieces day by day, but I make it all coincide and fall into what I do in the music industry.
All right. So, formal introduction. Appreciate that. For those that don't know you, now they do. So, we're gonna get into this topic. When me and you first talked about this topic, it was mind-boggling, and I was like, whoa, and we hear, people making songs about side piece, and we hear people talking about the side piece, and we hear people talking about how the side piece has had to stand back and step back during the pandemic. And, so this topic is very interesting. A side piece with wifey expectations. So, I mean, let's get into that topic real heavily, and why does this topic mean so much to you, and how does this topic resonate with your truth?
Well, first of all, I want to give you a thank you, Jacob, because tonight is the first time, as I told you, that I am coming out with my truth about my life. And the reason that the topic is so strong for me, you can't put a husband expectations on a man from a side chick's perspective, is because I lived it, right? When I say I lived it, not I lived it as me as a grown woman, but I lived it from a child's perspective. All right. I lived it from the let me just break it down. I am the product of a child born to a man that was already married. All right. My mom had kids by a man that was already married, 3 kids. That's the truth. Right. And the reason that topic is so strong for me is because I want to touch into somebody tonight that maybe be in that situation, that maybe has gotten so caught up into their emotions, into that man, and have had kids, and they don't realize what that emotional stress that they going through because that man don't belong to them, how it affects the children, right? So
Mm.
my testimony to you tonight isn't about me as an adult. Now I can give you the feedback of the hindsight, because see, what people don't know is really in a lot of cases hindsight is the best teacher, right? When you look back, excuse me,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's good, sometimes bad, but you learn the best when you look back. So when I speak to you tonight, I'm speaking to you from a child's perspective that have made realization out of it as an adult so that I can survive, right? Because from a child being born
Mm-hmm.
in a situation where my mom felt like she had to have a man that didn't belong to her and could never be hers, brought a whole lot of turmoil on me as the child, right? And so those are the women that I
Mm.
want to reach out to
Mm-hmm.
tonight. Are the women, because you look here, we all grown, everybody done been through their own thing. Some women done talk to married men, some women haven't, some men done talk to married women. It go back and forth. But what I'm talking to is the person that feels like they have a hold on a man that God has already ordained to another woman. It'll never work. So me as
Oh,
a
oh,
child,
oh, 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 say that one. Oh, mama boss, say that one more time. You said they feel like they got a hold on a man that's already been ordained to another woman. Good God Almighty!
that's the
Come on,
truth.
somebody.
Ladies, let me tell you something. Coming from
Mm,
a situation as a child, growing up with my emotional distress, the biggest problem in my situation was because I felt like my mother kept spinning her wheels with a man that was already ordained to another woman. So because he was already
mm-hmm,
ordained to another woman, she was going to always get the backlash, right? But the problem was the backlash that made her uncomfortable lashed out onto me. And that's the truth. You know what I mean? My mother was unhappy because she was trying for a man that didn't belong to her. So she was always going to be into that vicious cycle, right? So because she was in that vicious cycle and kept making the decisions to be in that cycle, the problems when he went home came back to me. And I want to talk to the woman tonight that's in that situation, that's gotten herself included in a situation with a man that's already married, already got a family, already got a budget and a paycheck to go home to his wife. But you sitting there thinking that this man owe you something. He doesn't. If you are with a married man and you choose to be with that, look, I ain't gonna judge you because ain't no judgment with Mama Boss. But you cannot put the expectations that that man on that man that his wife would. If you got a man that you know is married and he got kids and a wife at home, and that man come by at 1 o'clock in the morning, but he gotta go home, why you mad? He's married. Period.
mm, mm, mm. And
In my
and mercy.
situation, what I want to talk about to women is what I lived as a child. My mama never could get her head wrapped around that. She felt like that man owed her something. If my daddy would go with us for a week
Mm-hmm.
on vacation and he would come home and we wouldn't see him for 2 weeks, she was mad because she didn't see him for 2 weeks. But why you mad when that man done lied to his family for a week to be with you? You ain't supposed to see him for 2 weeks. Do you understand what I'm saying? But because she was mad at
Mm-hmm.
him, she made me mad at him. Do you see what I'm saying? And what I want women to understand is
Mm-hmm.
your choices should not be placed upon these kids, because I went through a lot of emotional distress and hurt in my life because my mother was in a vicious cycle fighting for a man that could never be hers. Period.
Mm-hmm.
My dad, I went
Mm-hmm.
through 13 years of my life, Jacob, not even liking my daddy because how my mama felt about my daddy, just because he didn't want to be with her. Is that fair to a child?
Mm.
By the time I got
No.
13 and realized I was really like my daddy, the way I talk, the way I present myself, my look, my everything, I really hated it. And it's going to make me cry because my daddy has passed. And there's so much of my life that I missed out on my daddy, mad at him because my mother was mad at him because she was in a situation that she shouldn't have been in. Do you know what I mean? And it's some real talk, man. My
Right.
spirit moved because I want to help another child that's out there, another woman that may be messing with a married man that's got to go home every day, that's got a family, right? Quit thinking that he posed to be there because he's not. Quit thinking he posed to give you money because he's not. Concentrate on your children because the emotional distress that you go through fighting this man that don't even belong to you filters onto your children. And that starts a chain of generational curses. Do you feel me? Because let me take that to you. My
Mm.
mama was a miserable, unhappy woman with me all my life. For the longest, all my life, my mama wasn't a mama that'll hold her arms and say, I love you, right? It wasn't a mother that I could go to. All I saw was a mother that always had some rah-rah. But the only reason she was rah-rah, because she wasn't happy with herself. But do you know how long I carried the burden? That it was me that was the problem. Because my mama was unhappy. And she was only unhappy because of her choices, not mine. I was a kid. Do you feel me? So women that are messing with these men, you got to understand when you start taking steps to have children by these men that don't belong to you, buckle to your kids and know that them men don't owe you nothing. Because my mother put turmoil over my life because she felt like this man that was ordained to another woman owed her something, and he didn't. Before my daddy died, God rest his soul, he called me. He said, Sean, what could I have done to make your life better? I said, left my mama alone and just been my daddy. You feel me? My mama had 3 kids by
Mm.
a married man in a town that had only 20, 30,000 people. I went to school with my half brothers and sisters. You feel me? My mama turned around and feel
Mm.
like the wife was the problem. No, she was not. For the longest as an adult, I almost lost my own marriage because I'm treating my husband like I saw my mama treating a man mad at because he was going home to his wife, not realizing I was the wife. Do you feel me? Women got to wake up and start
Mm.
thinking about what they doing. Because when you start bringing kids in this, you start messing with generations of what's happening in your life. You mess with your kids, your grandkids. You get it? My mother was always mad
Mm.
for the longest in my life. I thought my name was Big Head Yellow Bitch. That's all my mama called me. Hell, I went over to my friend's house. They get in trouble. They mama sitting in their room. I look like, ooh, because I know my mama would have cussed my ass out and tried to knock 5 from me. You feel me? But get this. I thought for the
Mm.
longest my mama was treating me like that because of me. It wasn't me. My mama was treating me like that because she was unhappy with herself. Because she was in a vicious cycle with a man that would never be hers. And that wasn't my fault.
Mm.
But that was my daddy. You feel me? I'm just keeping it
Right.
real tonight, Jacob.
Hey, lay
One,
it out. Lay it out. Keep it real. You know. I told you from the jump. Let it all go. keep it real, keep it a buck with me. So as that transpired, and your mother wasn't happy with herself, and you got the wrath of her not being happy. So mentally, emotionally, spiritually, how did that damage you through your childhood?
Well, it was rough because, to me as a mother, when you're a mother, you're that child's first lady, right? When you a mama, you they Michelle Obama, you they Hillary Clinton. They came
Right,
from you. That's your
right.
first lady. That's who teaches you to love. That's who teaches you to, it was really weird. I can remember my mother was so upset with life, and I'm saying hindsight from a child, because like at this age, at 8 years old, because this is the first time I ever questioned God. Right now, I didn't even know God like that, right? But I go to church because my mama always took me to church, and they say to me, I'd hear in church, just ask God, right? So my mother was so mad at me all the time because of her position. I can remember just running outside one night, and my mama had a window over her kitchen, and I ran out because she was being so irate, mad at my daddy, being so irate. And I just asked God, I said, why did you make this lady my mama? Because I'm just a kid. Kids don't come here with hate. Kids don't come with love. That stuff is taught. Like, I wasn't born with a sharp mouth or with an attitude or talking shit, right? That shit is taught, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I can remember just asking God,
Mm-hmm.
like, why did you make this woman my mama? Like, she mean to me, she fussing me, she cussing me all the time. Dog, I can remember that kind of thing, right? So how did it affect me as a child? It was rough as a child, Jacob, because it was almost like a facade. Like, excuse me, I go to school and I try to be normal, but I would get high anxiety. And even to this day, I suffer with panic attacks and anxiety attacks because I'd feel that when I was coming home. Like, for a kid, you would think home is a safe place, but that was not the safe place for me.
Mm-hmm.
My safe places were like my friend's house. I was cool with my girl Deborah. Big shout out to Deborah Fields and her mom. God rest her soul, Miss Ella. I'd go over there. Or my friend Tamisa Barry and her mama, Miss Connie. I'd go over there. There was no peace in my home because I never knew when it was going to go off or when my mama was going to be mad. And it wasn't me. It was because of things that she couldn't control by the choices that she made in her life. But she never thought about how it affected me as a child, period. And to this day, if you were to talk to my mother, she would tell you something is wrong with me. I don't know if you can see my shirt, but it says strange fruits. Guess what? I am considered the strange fruit, just like Billie Holiday said, hanging off the popular trees. But the only thing that make me strange to my mama is because I keep it 100. I keep it real. You see, when people do things to affect people, I think the highest point of disappointment is because they can't be accountable, right? If you do something wrong, just be accountable for it and go forward. If you were to talk to my mother today, like I'm talking to you, she would be in denial and swear that didn't happen. You gotta be accountable for what you've done to these kids. Because watch this. The same thing she put in me, I'm gonna keep it a buck. I ended up treating my daughter in a lot of ways just like she treated me. Even though I thought I was being better, I was still being her, right? So it just trickles down into the generations. At some point, women have to realize that you cannot put expectations on a married man if you are putting yourself in that situation. Because if you're going to always be spinning your wheels, and you will always affect your children. Period. Period. Period.
So you
Sorry,
got
y'all. I'm just
other
real
step.
talking fly.
You
My
you
nose had to
you
blow.
you good. You good. You got other siblings from that same situation. So do you and your siblings ever rap about the situation, or is it any type of bonding about the situation? Because in a situation like that, it's kind of y'all all y'all got.
I'm gonna tell you, me and my mother's second child, we have no relationship. Period. She's not to me. She's not trustworthy. She's kind of like my mom, right? And when I say that, I say this, Jacob, if you do something wrong and I love you and it ain't right, guess what I'm gonna do? Even though you might not like it, I'm gonna tell you it's wrong. You know what I mean? Because I love you. My sister see my mama doing stuff and she condone it and she takes sides. They feel like they got sides, right? So I got a little brother who I genuinely love. But because, and this is just my
Mhm.
opinion, I can't speak for him. I'm only on the outside looking in on this. From his perspective, I can't speak for nobody. But for him, he's so emotionally affected as a man from his mother that even though I think we love each other as siblings, we still have those vicious cycles because that's what was taught in our little family. Now I got a big old family. Now my
Mhm.
cousins and aunts and uncles, ain't nobody like that. But in my nucleus, with my mom, my sister, my brother, it is very, very toxic. And what it boils down to is what was fueled in us by the root, right? Because my mother was never
Mhm.
happy. She would never say to this day, if she was on this live right now, she'd be telling me, you was a lie. That don't make sense. Blah, 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 blah. But let me tell you something about a scar. Something my mama said something to me one day. She said, you a lie, because I can't stand that denial. I'm about accountability, right? Even if you wrong, just be accountable. She got a scar on the back of her leg. She said a dog bit her when she was little, right? And she was like 12, 13. My mama was 70 years old. I asked her, I say, what happened to you when your leg got bit? She said, what you mean? I said, what happened to you when your leg got bit? She said, a dog bit me. You know what I mean? What you talking about? What that got to do with it? I said, where that dog bite you? Over in Miss So-and-so yard and blah, 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 blah. I said, the same way you remember the way that dog bit you, that scar, that's how I remember what happened to me because I was scarred emotionally. See, sometimes I think people think that
Mm.
scars have to be be something they can see, but sometimes scars can be emotional. Let me
Mhm.
give you a great example. Because of what I was raised under, I was verbally abused highly because my mother never knew how to communicate any other way. When I tell you I almost lost my husband because I'm treating him like I see my mama treating a man that didn't belong to her, it's because I was cussing him out. I'm gonna keep it 100 with you, right? But I had to learn that it ain't what you say, it's how you say it. It also filtered into my child.
Mhm.
I went through a whole lot with my older daughter, who's in college now. God bless her soul in North Texas. Bless her, A studio boss. She's doing really well. But out of all the things my daughter went through, one thing that I could agree with when she said, the way you talk to me, mama, I ain't gonna disagree with that because I was taught to talk that way. That was the only thing I knew. My mama called me when my brother was 20. She called me at 1 o'clock in the morning. Your brother just cussed me out. Why you waking me up? You taught him. You taught him to cuss because you were so mad at your life that you turned around and took it out on us. Now the sad part is,
Mm.
if you bring that to my mama, she gonna tell me I'm a lie, and she's a pretty little girl, right? But my thing is, you can't never grow mentally or emotionally until you accept the truth. And that's why I'm speaking tonight, because I'm
Mhm.
finally living my truth, right? Like my mama go around and she'd be like,
Mhm.
you don't know Sean. She this and she that. To be honest, I ain't seen my mama in 5 years. 5 years. I got a sister that live in
Ooh.
H-Town. My sister lived 5 minutes from me. My mama would come down to Houston and won't even come to see me or my child. You hear me? So how can you
Mm,
report on me and you don't even know me? People change every day. You know what I mean? So it's about being
mm-hmm,
accountable and understanding that
mm-hmm,
you need to lay all that stuff aside when you have children and step back and look at your kids and how the things that you are doing in your life affect your children. Because we think about today, but think about what you put in them children for the next 30 years and then in they kids and they kids. What kind of root are you putting in them kids? I've suffered
mm,
because of what I grew up in. Never had a mama to explain it. I just lived it. Never had a mama to be understanding about it. I just lived it. Never had a mama to be sorry about it. I just lived it. My mama called me a motherfucking bitch and then tell me go get me some water. And then be mad at 48 if I talk shit to her. But where did the respect come from? You never teach me to respect you. You talk shit to me all my life, but you want respect. One side of that coin, somebody would say, well, that's your mama. You should respect your mama. But let's keep it real. We teach people how to treat us, right?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Period. Women that's out there dealing with men that are already ordained to another woman. If you take yourself to another level to start having children, I need you tonight to back up a bit and see how your relationship with this man that belonged to another family is affecting your child. Because that's what my mother never did. She just went on for her, right? Again, I
Mm.
thought my dad wasn't no good till I was about 13. And then I started figuring it out. And I left home when I was 17. Period.
So, let's talk about. We're gonna talk about two different parts. We're gonna go back to when you say that you almost lost your marriage because of the toxic environment that you was in that carried on into your adulthood. So, how did you overcome, that toxic mindset to save your marriage? And your husband has to be a really, really strong dude. I commend him for him to really stay there and kind of cope with it and kind of work with you on the situation. And so, salute to him as well. And so, how did you overcome, that toxic mindset so you can generally learn how to really love and commit and receive the type of man that your husband was? Since you really never seen that type of man, cause it's obvious that your mother wanted something that she couldn't have, and you and your siblings, you know, caught hell, hot water, and some more hell.
I'm gonna go ahead and give the glory to God because God started revealing some things to me that made me check myself. And see, the one thing about God, you got to be in tune. If you can talk to God, you should be able to hear the Lord. So, as my marriage started
Uh-huh.
feeling the roughness, the real rough part, God started revealing things to me because, like the hymn was saying, when you saved, I was lost, but now I'm found. I was blind, but now I see. Right. So with the Lord, you see different, you hear
Mm-hmm.
different, you walk different, all that. So I'm gonna give it up to God that He started revealing things to me to show me what was going on so that I could get myself together. So I'm going to give that to the Lord that I was obedient to God because see, what happened was when the problems starting and he started revealing to me about the problems in my marriage, he started giving me reflection. See, a lot of people pick up the mirror, my mom, a lot of people, and they see you. But see, reflection is from within. So when I picked the mirror up, I saw me. And when I saw me, I started seeing my failure. See, the strongest person knows their weaknesses, right? Whether you can handle them or not, whether you can take it or not, the strongest person, y'all hear me good, whether you can handle them weaknesses, whether you can face them or not, you better know them, right? That's just like going down a road and you trying to get to the top, but it's some dips in the road. You're going to go out. If you're going to win, you're going to run that path before you go, right? So the strongest person know their weaknesses, right? So when God started having me reflect on myself, I started realizing where I was wrong as a wife. And I started realizing, God started giving me that knowledge. Because see, people think when God talk to you, he just going to tell you la 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 la. No, if you listen to the Lord will lead you. His word says, I will not mislead nor forsake you. But you got to listen to him. So he started letting me know, you're being like your mama. You talking to this man like he going home to another woman and he live with you. You are the missus. You ain't teaching him like you're not treating him like he deserves. Now, did I know how to treat a man from my mom? No. But God is so good. Watch this. Over my life, God don't never take without giving. God don't never allow nothing to be taken without giving. So because I didn't have my mom to give me the things, because girls need things from their mamas. Boys need things from their mamas. When you ain't got your mamas or a mama like, you miss things. That's just facts. That's how the Lord wrote it, right? A mama and a daddy, right? So what I did was God blessed me and put mothers in my life to help me. The word says, I will lead you with shepherds with hearts after my own, to lead you with knowledge and understanding, right? So because I didn't have my mom, he put spiritual mothers in my life. They gave me examples of how to be a good wife, how to be a better mother, how to be this. So what do? When you mess up, you resort back to the basics, right? So that's how I got over it. I listened to the Lord. And at the end of the day, my husband, my friend. And I'm going to tell everybody, when you marry your friend, that's a different kind of thing. You can marry a man under circumstances, babies, whatever. But when you marry a man that if you had $1 million and you wouldn't want to spend it with nobody but him, that's your dude. Just saying. So with the help of God, with the help of the Lord, being obedient and listening, I was able to save my marriage because I changed. See, my mama was never willing to change, but I'm willing to change. See, Christ is about change. Ain't no way you're going to have choice and not change. Think about it. Every day you live your life unintentionally, you change something. Think about it. Just
that's right.
on that. Right. Some things you consistent. Some things you find better ways every day. Period.
Right.
God showed me a better way. I overcame by being obedient and being a better wife. Seeing what I was in the reflection, looking at me instead of him, seeing where I could change. And let me tell you something. If you change, he'll change. Period.
That's deep. That's deep. We're gonna go to a short commercial break. We're live on the Chatterbox with Ms. LaShawn Jackson, Houston, Texas. So we're live, raw and uncut, with the topic, a side chick with wifey expectations. Stay tuned for more important message. We'll be right back.
Alrighty.
Thank you. We back once again. This show is sponsored by Unique Blessings nonprofit organization, which I sit on the board of directors, where we fight against and grow awareness for domestic violence, human trafficking, sexual assault, with a focus on the at-risk youth, because the youth are our future, and so we have to protect them and fight for them no matter what the cause is. So we're back live again on the Chatterbox with yours truly, LaShawn Jackson, Mama Boss of, Boss Management, man. So we're chopping it up about, oh man, the side chick with the wife expectations. My. Whew. So as we've been getting into this heavy topic, she's really shared some of her life journey with us, and I can't say that I could ever know what that feel like, because I would say that my mom is my jewel. I love her with everything in me, and she loved me with everything in her. So to hear her go through something like that is very heartbreaking, and so but to hear how God brought her through, that's a whole blessing on top of a blessing on top of another blessing. And to hear how she wants to encourage and inspire and bless others with her testimony, that says something about how she's grown. So we're going to go into, as life went on, you moved out when you were 17. And so how did you conduct yourself in society once you moved out? Because I know that you and your mom was beefing real bad, so you had to go on your own because it wouldn't have been good for you if you stayed there, correct?
I had gotten to the point by the time I was 17, because I was so much like my dad that that I was so level head. My mom like a hot head, my daddy a level head. And it was so confusing to me as a child by the time I was 17, because I've been going through this, because you got to remember, I'm talking to God since 8. Like, what is going on? Now I'm 17. I'm at a point where it's way too heavy. I'm trying to graduate high school. I'm trying to figure out if I'm going to go to college, what I'm going to do. I'm a senior. I'm 17. I end up leaving home because I was so emotionally distraught with my mother's rage always against me that either I was going to hurt her or I was going to hurt me. And that's a sick place to be, because that meant as a child at 17, I didn't know what to do, right? So I just left because I didn't know what to do. And God bless this lady. Her name is Frankie Brown, or Frankie Moore. Now she's married. And she was a friend of my mama's. But look how the Lord worked. I left home and I had a boyfriend. I was 17. I could date when I was 16. And he was very respectful for me. When I left home, this boy was telling me to go back home. You got to graduate high school, because he was already out of high school. He was like 19 and I was 17. And he telling me, you got to graduate. I'm like, I can't go back. This boy's, I leave and I walk to the 7-Eleven, call his house on the payphone. We had cell phones back then, right? And I say, look, you got to come get me because I can't go back. I'm either hurt her or me. So I leave and go to his house. Now, the whole time, this boy is he lived with his grandmama. We in his grandmama house. His grandmama, he telling me, go home, Sean. You got to graduate. You got to blah, blah, blah. He telling me the right thing. My mama sitting in the front of his house with her kids, my brother and sister, with a bat in her lap. Like she going to beat this boy. Like she going to do something. Right? So when I left, it was hard because my mama started acting crazy and was going around town slandering me. I was in debutantes. I was going to still try to keep up with the things that I was in school, even though I was having to stay from place to place. But my mom went around town talking about slandering me like, she wilding and out there not telling that I'm being emotionally, physically, and verbally abused. So, it got me kicked out of a lot of things because our town is small. So when she go talk to my debutante leader, gets me kicked out of that. She just pulled me to the bottom, right? Everybody I ran into was telling me, your mama say this, your mama say that. So make a long story short, I overcame. My son's godmother, who was a friend of my mom's, but knew my struggle. God bless her. She had kids, and she let me live with her. That lady let me live with her so that I could go to school and graduate. And my mama was still talking trash about me. I'm just trying to go to school with a clear head, And she let me live with her. I'm a hustler till I got on my feet. Me and my boyfriend ended up getting an apartment. But she never made me feel no different. And to this day, this lady is one of my spiritual mentors. She my mama, she my sister, she my everything. Because God allowed her to fill in the gaps. So how did I make it? Because God had me. And God put angels in the outfield for me. Because I didn't have my mama. And I want people to know that kids out there, anybody that's listening, when you a child and that burden ain't on you and that cross ain't on your back, you ain't got to feel like you alone. Because when I look in hindsight, God always had my back, right? But it don't look like that when you're trying to make it through, right? It seemed like a struggle. But when I look in hindsight, God always had angels in the outfield for me. So be careful who you put tags on. Just because somebody had you, don't mean they gonna treat you like a mama. Just because somebody your sister by blood, don't mean they gonna treat you like a sister. You have to put that tag on people that make you feel that way, that earn that in your life. So how did I make it? When I left home at 17, I stood 10 toes down and did whatever God, follow God's lead wherever he fed me. And that's how I got to where I am. I lived there until I graduated at 18. By the grace of God, I got my diploma. My uncle lived in Dallas. I moved to Dallas. He was a professor at a JUCO at a college for 2 years. He 2-year college. He helped me. He got me into school. But I was such in a rut to where I just need to get away from everything. I started alienating myself from people that even loved me. Imagine that. I'm reaching for love, ain't never had it, and I start alienating myself from people that loved me because I didn't even know how to receive love. Because who supposed to show you love first? Who showed you love first, Jacob?
My mama.
That's it. I didn't ever have that. For the longest, I didn't even know how I looked. I would go out with men as a young adult, and they would say, "You so pretty." I would say to them, "Look, this is my baby. He coming up and hugging me, y'all." I would say to them, "I'm not pretty." They would say to me, "Who taught you to feel that way about yourself? Who taught you to feel that way? Who killed your confidence?" Imagine having to say my mama. Not because of me, but because of how she felt of her situation. I wasn't a bad kid. I wasn't stealing and robbing, and I was just a normal kid. I was a cheerleader. I was in choir. I was in Girl Scouts. I'm not saying my mama didn't take care of us financially, but I would rather been a broke child with nothing and had the love from my mama than to have Nike shoes in 1980 and had the kind of emotional stress that I had because she was mad because this man would come see her and then go home. I went through several years of my life where I would go to sleep. My defense mechanism was to keep my fingers crossed. I would keep my fingers crossed so much at night that I would wake up and my knuckles would be swollen because I was hoping that my daddy wouldn't come over. Because if me and my mama were having a good night and he came over and she was mad because he was going home, guess who had the worst night? Me. Me.
Mm-hmm.
Me. Me. Period. And
So,
I'm sorry, I'm blowing
so,
my nose.
so,
I
so,
keep it 100.
you good, Sean? You good? So, Sean, let me ask you this. You moved out at 17, graduate 18, moved to Dallas. So, in that time frame, once you got on your own and you start living the responsibility of a young, having that responsibility to be adult, did you and your father ever have any conversations about what happened to you and how bad it really hurt you emotionally and mentally and spiritually?
Let me tell you something. As my daddy had a lot of heart issues. So after I was about 13, um, because my mama would like throw a lot of like my dad didn't live with us. So from like birth to 13 that I can remember, my mom would be like, Sean this, Sean that. And my daddy would come over and he would get on to me because of what my mama said, right? But by the time I got 13, this voice you hearing started developing. And my daddy was a salesman. He worked at Sears and Roebuck for years, retired from there, top salesman. He worked for Kimberly Clark, diapers, Huggies, all that. He was always he was just my daddy was the one that the police would stop him and he talked himself out a ticket. All right. So by the time 13, he started coming to me when your mama said this, da 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 da. And I would start telling my daddy, well, bye, 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 bye. And you don't have to worry about it because you go home. I have to deal with it. Do you know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
as I
Mm-hmm.
grew older, you know, I realized I was more like my father. Do you know what I mean? My demeanor and just the way I work. So as I got older and I moved on, it really became hard. Um, it became very clear with me and my father as I moved on that we could have conversations that he and I would have never had I been home with my mom. So it got to the point
Mm-hmm.
where me and my dad had side conversations. My dad became, before he died, God rest his soul, and I'll speak his name because everybody that know me know his name was Alvin Nelson, and I ain't got nothing bad to say about my daddy today. Because let me tell you something, my daddy couldn't do no more than them women let him do. You know what I mean? Including my mama. All right.
Mm-hmm.
But my dad asked me one day as he got older and I got older, he would call me periodically because he's still married now. He ain't left his wife. He never left his wife. When he died, he was married. All right. But my dad would call me and talk to me. And he would always tell me, Sean, you so much like me and we could vibe. So my dad asked me one day, he said, Sean, he said, what could I have done to be better, to help your life be better? Because my daddy know what I went through. Hell, my daddy left. He would come visit my mama and would leave because of all of her elation. All right. And I said, the best thing you could have done was to left her alone and just been my daddy. So did me and my daddy ever have that talk before he passed about what would help me as a child or what would help my life? Yes, we did. Matter of fact, no matter how much of a Rolling Stone my daddy was, I respect my daddy more than I respect my mama. Because at least he was accountable for what I went through. At least he was accountable for what I could have felt as a child. Talking to my mama,
Mm-hmm.
it's all me. She's not a person. Let me tell you something. You will never grow picking up a mirror thinking that the reflection goes out. The reflection is within. And if you pick up a mirror and see somebody
Mm-hmm.
else, you will always remain the same. Period. If you think you a person walking that you can't learn or you ain't never done nothing wrong, how can you ever grow? The only perfect person was Jesus. Period. And the reason I wanted to speak to you on this tonight is because I ain't perfect. I'm not. And I want to stand up and be accountable. If my mama can't be accountable, I'm going to be accountable for what happened in my life. And even though it wasn't me to put it on me, I'm going to speak the truth. Because, see, people think when you say the truth to set you free, that's for you. It ain't. The truth is to set you free. You feel me? So I'm setting my truth free, right? I don't never say nothing about my mom and them. They talk about me all the time. Sean this, Sean that. You talk to my mama today. First thing she gonna say, well, y'all don't know Sean. You don't know me either. But it's one thing you can know. Mama Boss gonna keep it 1,000. I'm gonna keep it real. Everything I'm telling you is credible. If it's anybody on this live that have grown up with me from my hometown, that have known me, they know this the truth. And sometimes, in order to grow, you just gotta live in your truth. And I'm in a place right now that I want to help another woman that may be stuck in a situation where she done got caught up and let her emotions make her feel like that man that's ordained to another woman belong to her. I want to wake you up tonight and let you know he does not, boo. If that man come to your house and you know he married and he go home, let him go home because that's where he belong. If that man don't give you no money, quit being mad. He don't owe you no money. He is one with his wife. Take your position and stand it well. Stop putting married expectations from a side chick's perspective. And know this, when you start putting kids in it, you start working on your generations of problems. Do you hear me? That's period.
Mm,
Period.
mm.
I'm glad I can tell you that
So,
God
Sean,
has helped. Go ahead.
right. So you came a long way in life, husband, successful career, your oldest baby's in college doing her thing. Your son is growing, playing sports and all
Yeah.
technical and probably gonna build the next computer that we use. So uh,
You love tech
so with
stuff.
that being said, right, right. So with that being said, have you found that inner peace for you? Because once you find that peace for your healing, that puts you in a whole nother dimension and makes you navigate through life much better than you normally could.
Jacob, I think that peace is a growing process. People be popping off, I'm in peace.
Mm-hmm.
And then they be mad the next day. You know what I mean? Um, I feel like I'm growing in peace. Um, Me being able to be on here tonight and speak to you candidly and in my truth, this is helping me in my peace. Because I don't, what I've gone through, I don't know if you read the Purpose Driven Life by Rick Warren. And but he says that life is made
Mm-hmm.
up in a shape. And I can't remember what SHAP meant, but E meant experiences, right? And what he meant was that we have to take things that we've lived in our life and we have to share them with other people to help other people, our life's experiences. We are all ambassadors to this earth, God's people. This is a temporary home for us. We have a purpose to be here, right? Because this same mouth
Mm-hmm.
that my mama gave me and I've used in a bad way, when my daughter's still going through problems and she's saying I'm verbally abusing her, I'm looking at the Lord like, what you mean? my mouth. You gave me this mouth. You know what my mama is. This I'm talking to the Lord. You know what my mama is. You know this mouth. He said, I ain't mad at the mouth. He said, but you got to use that mouth for what I tell you to use it for. You see what I'm saying? So,
Come on now.
So we all have a purpose. My husband tell me all the time. He say, my boss, he say, that mouth is your best and your worst asset. It gets you in trouble and it help you out, right? So we got to find our purpose, I think, with God and use our purposes for the reason. So I think this is the only thing I can think, because I was a kid. I came out love my mama, love my daddy, love my grandmothers. I didn't have no hate in me or no ill will in me or no anger in me. I was a child at 8 when I asked the Lord, why did you make this woman my mama? And the reason I asked that was because all I had in me was love. You feel me? So I think that, we as people, we got to learn how to find our purposes in life and know that sometimes our experiences, whether rough or hard, if you are God's child, it is something meant to that. If you think about Job, God offered him up because he knew that his faith was stronger. And I feel offered up as a child. So as an adult, my faith is strong. Because if God can take me through that emotional distress as a child, where I felt unloved by my mom, where I felt unwanted at home, I used to get anxiety attacks, get off the bus, because I was going home. Because I never knew what kind of emotion my daddy had left my mama in, because she was mad because he had to go home, or because he didn't pay a bill, or because he didn't do something she needed her to do. When at the end of the day, my daddy didn't owe you nothing. Nothing. Why did my daddy owe you something? And then why were you mad at him when he didn't pay like you wanted him to pay? You know why he was mad? Because you put married expectations from a side chick's perspective. You can't do that. God would never give a woman a man that he is already ordained by another woman. The union is held highly in the Bible, for better or for worse, for richer or for poor, in sickness and in health. It does not say in better and side chick, period. There's 3 types of love. There's a brotherly love, the phila. That's what they call it. Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. There's an agape love.
Right.
The Lord has for us. It's unconditional. And then there is an eros, that God sets aside the erotic of it for what? For the marriage, not for the side chick. Now listen, I ain't judging tonight, all right? If you want to be that side chick, be that. But make better decisions about your future when you mess with a man that's already married. And know when you bring in kids that your delusion and your vicious cycles that you spin, because that man ain't coming by enough. He ain't giving you enough money. He ain't giving you enough time. He got you pregnant, but he didn't sign the birth certificate. He didn't show at the hospital. He didn't owe you that. No matter what you let him do, it was your choice, because you knew that man already had an obligation, period. And when you don't take that in consideration and you bring in other children, you bring them into the same vicious cycle that you live in, period. It takes a strong woman to tell a child, look, your daddy's married. I was wrong, but he's a good man. When he come by, he come by. If he don't, he don't. If he give us money, he do. If he don't, he don't. That man got 4 other kids out there. This was my decision. It is not your fault, child. This was my decision. But I love you anyway. Man, I'd give everything I got if I could go back in time and just hear that from my mama. Period. But it was
Mm.
always about her and
Woo.
her situation. I can remember times that my mama would get so emotional, she would sit in a chair with a gun at her side, like she's gonna kill herself. Now you imagine my grandmama dead, my great grandmama dead, my daddy married. I can't live with him. My uncle live in Dallas.
Wow.
How you think I feel watching my mama want to kill herself with a gun over a dude
Mm.
who wasn't even hers?
Mm.
Man, I had to figure it out emotionally.
Mm.
And let me tell you something. I'm 48
And
years old. I'm 48. I just
mm-hmm.
got hip to the real deal about 45. Been walking around that same little girl, hurt at 12, 13, 14. I just grew up at 45. It's a hard cross to bear because I'm talking about rejection for the person that's supposed to love me. My mama. Me and my daughter done had all kind of issues. She about to be 19. She go to University of North Texas. But no matter what we've been through, that's my baby. Period. I got her back. My mama rather slander me in the grave than to help me. She'd rather my mama come. I ain't seen my mama in 5 years. She was just in Houston in August. 5 minutes from me. She didn't come down here to see me or my child. But that's cool. I'm
Mm.
okay with that. Because guess what?
Well,
I don't want what she did to me to trickle onto my son. We're gonna break these cycles. Huh.
that's
Facts.
right. That's right. That's right. And we're gonna stay blessed by the best now. Sean, I will say this. You know, our time is up, but your story is woo. Um, I know, man, you've been talking through the week, and I told you to pour it out, and you did that, and I'm blessed for you to let me cover your truth. The first one that did it, I covered your truth, um, and it was mentally and emotionally to hear a mother say that, who is a mother of her own children, and she had to go through that with her mother. That's a serious situation, and only God can bring you through.
That's
Only
it.
God can bring you through. And I just, I just want to thank all those who tuned in the comment section. You know, thank Miss Carol, thank Kayla. You know, Miss
Love you, Miss
Frankie.
Carol.
You know, Shaquita, and
Love you,
Miss
Keita.
Chantel Evans, which is the owner of the owner of the nonprofit organization Unique Blessings. Chantel Evans, thank you for tuning in. And you know, I just commend you, and to have your husband and your son watching, and your son to come out and hug you and kiss you on the cheek. That's special. That's real special. You know what I mean? So, so I see that the young king definitely was watching, and I'm pretty sure that you and him will have a talk. You know what I mean? Because you know he probably never has heard this to this full extent, and so you know, kids are smarter than we think, and they uh, they want to know what's going on, and they gonna want to know, mommy, are you okay? You know, because that was a lot, and
Yeah.
so when they can check on you, that's a whole nother emotional relief. You know,
Right.
so I definitely I definitely thank you, man, and give your last minute shout outs for the people you want to shout out, and we're gonna get out of here.
I'm gonna give my shouts out to Boss Management, Give it out to Frosted Kid. He's an amazing artist. He's from pop to alternative to rap to rock. I want to give it out to Nels out of South Carolina, just killing it in the Boss Management. Give it out to Prophet, who's killing it. Y'all make sure y'all kick it out to my Instagram, Mama Boss 2016. If you get to my Instagram, you're gonna follow all my artists. Honey Banks is on the team. We are constantly interviewing other artists to bring our team bigger. Big shout out to Exquisite PR that takes care of us on the back end. We are super excited about everything that we've got going on. I want to give a big shout out to all my family members that are on tonight. Miss Carol, Frankie, my cousin Keita, everybody that was there tonight. This was big for me. I thank you, Jacob, for the Chatterbox, for giving me a moment to cry, to laugh, to speak the truth. I love your show. You're amazing. And I just thank you from Boss Management 100. We appreciate you.
Appreciate you too. Peace and blessings and love. And I'll be in touch.
All right. Peace.
All right. Peace.